Aston Villa beat Tottenham in the FA Cup, a completely dominant performance from Aston Villa. We're going to talk about it. We're going to debrief it. But before we do, we've got to talk about one man and one man's performance when he steps up onto that football pitch. It reminded me of an old school Pepsi Max Nike advert where all the superstars come together and start showcasing their skills. Just after his first touch, his second touch was a Zidane turn. Absolutely rolling Spurs players all over the place. We're going to talk about Asensio. We're going to talk about Rashford. We're also going to talk about how Aston Villa dominated Spurs up the Villa. What a performance from Villa. Villa fans, if you are buzzing about how we played, buzzing about the new signings, excited for the future, then make sure you are subscribing to this channel. Get on the journey with us. Smash the likes. Let's go big on this one. Big result. We're into the next round. So let's go with 900 likes on this one. And more importantly, comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, completely dominant, really, really good, slick attacking. Defensively, we were pretty good as well. Performance from Aston Villa, really pleasing. And for me, I had a sense that the new signings, I had an Asensio that the new signings were going to work really well for Villa. And that was the case. Within football, you hear that old narrative of bringing in new players, new faces, lift the squad. And that can't be true for Aston Villa right now. When you are bringing in Asensio, Rashford into your squad, Marlon, players that are playing at the top level, players that have won things, players that are very, very good footballers, you are going to get an uplift within your own squad. And Jacob Ramsey alluded to that after the game, that players are now fighting for their positions because they know that there's quality. He spoke about the squad being the best that it's ever been at Villa with the options that we've got. So that lift was going to happen, and it did happen. But I am mostly really happy about the way in which those players came on, performed. I'm so happy that Marlon started and played really, really well. The only thing missing from his game was probably a goal, but he got the assist, so that was just as good. Then players that currently play for Villa that have been here for a long time really stepped up to their game. Ramsey, well in the goals now, playing really well. Bailey, tracking back, defending. He also played really well in that game. He was a threat. He was driving, cutting on that left foot. Quite unfortunate a few times that he couldn't find the back of the net. Kingsky did have a good game, albeit he chucked the first one in the back of the net. But I was just really pleased with the performance and how we applied ourselves. We focused on ourselves. We all raised our game. We played to a really high standard. And at times, Spurs couldn't live with us. They couldn't live with us whatsoever. We were too slick, too quick, too aggressive. We were just a far superior tactical team in that game. We were just completely dominant. And you can talk about Spurs' injuries, but we've also got our injuries as well. Pau, Mings, we've got Watkins out, we've got Onana, we've got Barkley, we've got Cash. We've got a whole raft of injuries ourselves, but no excuses. Get on with it. If Bogart goes into the back line, so be it. We deal with it. And he also had a really good game as well. You know, maybe the goal that we conceded, we'll touch on that. But apart from that, the overall play, I thought he was really good at the back as well. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to go through the goals. We're going to go through the main talking points. We'll have a look at the stats. We'll have a look at the average positions. We'll have a look at the heat maps of players, there's one interesting thing, the Marcus Rashford heat map. Stay tuned for that. Right, so we'll get straight in there. Then we'll start off with the images and we'll go to the opening stages of the game. So Tielemans plays this really nice pass into Morgan Rogers. And within this scenario, try and get the ball off him. Try and get the ball off him. You might be able to, but, probably 8 times out of 10, you're not getting the ball off him. So he really goes past Bergvall, who I touched on the fan cam. How was he on the pitch at the end? I have no idea. But he had a torrid game. He was run absolutely ragged. And then we start driving, we start pushing, and you can see this foot here from Rodgers now. Just get that ball out my feet. Get that ball into this area here now. Start driving with the ball. So you can see that he's just got that area now that he's able to drive into. And we've got an overload on this left-hand side. We can see that Pedro Porro is out of position as well. So we've now start to get options of where we want to move the ball to. And I think, like I said about Marlon, a lot of Marlon's work will go under the radar because he's doing the hard work. He got his assist, brilliant. But even look at this moment here now. He's going over into this direction. And what that does is it opens up space for Ramsey to be able to run into. It's a really clever run from Marlon. So we can see that the space from Marlon now, he's dragged Danso along with him. So Danso's gone with Marlon, and then that's opened up all of that space through there. And I think that's the beauty of when you have analysing and you're seeing the players' movements. We can see that he's with Danso here, and Danso follows Marlon. And by doing that, we can see that the space has been opened up for Ramsey. So when you're looking at and watching football, you can think of, it's all Rodgers, it's all Ramsey for the finish. But within this goal, Marlon plays one of the biggest parts in it because he's dragging the players out of the way. And I absolutely love this from Villa. It's a really well-worked goal. And Ramsey strikes it well, hits it hard. Keeper probably should have saved it. And we'll get on to Ramsey's finishing in a little while as well. So again, when we're analysing the second goal, it's all about Marlon because, as you can see, Bailey's being stood up by 4 players. And I remember at the time thinking, just get it in the box. But there's hardly anyone in there that he's being shut out. We can see that the ball that we want it to probably go to is Ramsey, but can he find that pass around that player? Will it be cut out? But even Bailey, he's patient. He utilises the time that he knows he's got. But the really big thing is that Marlon makes this sort of inside to outside overlap, which enables space, which enables him to get a better angle to get the cross in. He could have just waited. Marlon could have just waited and said, you know what, pass me the ball, I'll strike it. But he doesn't. He makes this really clever run back around Spurs, and then we get the ricochet, and it's able to fall to Morgan Rodgers, who sticks it away. And, it's a really well-worked goal from Villa because a lot's gone into it. The overlap, the patience, the time with Bailey, and then the finish. And, just really, really, really happy to see that happen. And then Villa just start tearing down on the goal. This was before the goal, and the options that we've got with our front line, the decisions that our creative players have got. Who wants it? I can either go out wide, I can slip you in, I can slip you in through there. So the dynamic nature of our attack, with all of the options that we've got of who we could pass to, this is an attacker's dream. If you're an Asensio in this team, you're licking your lips. You're thinking, there's options everywhere. So you play the right pass and you've got to bury it. And Ramsey did have probably like 2 other one-on-ones. And I spoke about this when Rodgers first came to Villa, and Rodgers was sort of missing a lot of his chances. He's really got to work on his finishing. A lot of the time he does when the surprising aspect of Ramsey against Spurs was normally all those chances that he has, they all normally go in because they're very Ramsey-esque chances. He always manages to find the back post. He hits it clean. But a lot of them, he was just sort of like hitting it at the keeper. And I guess you've got to give the keeper a bit of credit. But, I imagine this week, Emery's really sort of making sure he's having a bit of shooting practice, because that's what Emery does. He challenges the players. I remember when Douglas Luiz was missing quite a few, and then the next game, edge of the box, he pops up and he sticks one away. So I imagine his finishing will be worked on this week and being reiterated to hit the corners or get a bit of a better and a cleaner contact, really. But what we're going to do now is, because we've just got that Asensio vibe, I feel like for now, whenever we talk about Asensio, we've just got to add something. So here we can see that Villa are building out from the back, and the ball finds Bogard in this position. And what he's able to do here is he could go here, he could go back to the keeper, he could find that pass into there if he wants, but he plays the long ball. By playing this long ball, he manages to find Asensio. So he finds Asensio, and Asensio takes this really lovely touch, but it just goes out to this area through here. But we're starting to get a bit of a feel for what Asensio's all about. And then Asensio retrieves the ball on the byline, and then he plays this lovely little back heel into the path of Morgan Rogers. But the move doesn't stop here. I'm sure there's another 2 nutmegs within this whole move here. The link up between Asensio and Rogers is brilliant. Rogers then plays in Asensio. Asensio buys his time. He then slips back in Rogers, and then Rogers is able to get his shot off. And if this hit the back of the net, oh my God, the absolute limbs on this. But it was just such a feel-good factor with Asensio, and the way he was playing, and the way he finds space, and the way he occupies space, the way he just knows where the space is, and just his vision. And this is what I spoke about when he was coming in: the quickness, the sharpness, the back heels, no thinking. Let's go, let's keep the ball moving, let's keep it ticking over. And that's what he's all about. He's had 100% passing accuracy, and he was on the pitch for around 20 minutes. That's exceptional when you're playing against a team like Spurs, who really press as well. So we started to get a flavour of what Asensio's like, and Rashford as well. The first thing they think of is we're going forward. And I'll put Garcia into that as well. Garcia's first thought is going forward, because he played a really well-timed first pass to Bailey at one point, and it was quick, incisive, and it was just brilliant. How many times were Villa popping the ball off, just keeping it moving? And then Spurs would press, and they'd be like, oh man, there's someone over here now. So Asensio, I absolutely loved his performance. And if that's a flavour of what we've got to come, then I just can't wait to see him. But for now, every time we talk about Asensio, he's got some music. So yeah, absolutely fantastic from Asensio. And then when Rashford comes on as well at the same time, what a double substitution. He comes on, starts nutmegging players, running past players, driving through. His passing was brilliant. His touch was great. His directness to want to get into the box and pose serious problems on that Spurs goal was so evident to see. I thought he was brilliant. I felt like he was going to get a goal. It just felt like that type of performance from him, but he wanted it. He was pressing. He was absolutely everywhere. But I think one of the big things that I want to touch on with Rashford was Rashford's heat map. Now, Rashford went up front. So he went up front with Asensio. And what I found quite interesting within that was the positioning of where Rashford was allowed to play. Now, when Ollie Watkins plays for Villa, he's pretty much told to stay in the width of the 18-yard box. But when Rashford came on, you can see here now that a lot of Rashford's touches were on the left. So he was given the license from striker to drift to the left-hand side, but he was also allowed to drift to the right-hand side as well. So there was that time when he was on the attack and he couldn't just get his shot off, and he sort of like took out Archie Gray. But you can see that he was on the right and the left, being able to drift to the left and do a lot of damage through there. He was good doing his defensive work. So I think this is one to keep an eye on. And Asensio in that number 10 shadow striker role. the position's made for him. It's absolutely made for him. And I think what you can see from what we've bought in recruitment-wise is that all the players suit a system and suit the style. And that's so important that the players are being brought in now because they specifically can do a role within the position that's required of them. And I think it's just absolutely brilliant. And the ability now to start to rotate. Will Asensio play every single game, every single 90 minutes? No, he won't. But Marlon, you can rotate. Rashford, you can rotate. So given a certain opposition, we've got all of these different attributes with these attacking players, and they're all different. They all do something totally different. Marlon's completely different to Asensio. Asensio's completely different to Rashford. So it's really, really good, really exciting, and I just can't wait to go back down the Villa now and watch them again. But we did concede, and I think Bogard does need to do a lot better here. We can see Bogard's starting position with Tell. He's touch tight. He's in the right areas, but he just loses his marker, and Tell's able to finish. It's a great finish from him, sort of like outside the foot, guided to that back post. But I think in this instance, Bogard definitely needs to do a lot better. We shouldn't really be conceding from there. But overall, I was really comfortable with how comfortable he looked within that back line. He looked good. He was, I think that one time he made that last-ditch challenge, which was brilliant. So, he saved a goal, but unfortunately he kind of gave one away at the end. So, I think, he is a centre-back and he's probably not played there for a while. And I really do feel like he was absolutely fine. So if we have a look then at the Aston Villa average positions, then we can see we're in the 4-4-2 shape, really. We've got width from Garcia doing a lot of defensive work, but you can also see getting to that byline and getting into the edge of the 18-yard box as well, which is really good to see. I thought he was brilliant, and he needs to play games now. He needs to play consistent games. Digne, I thought, was really good, really aggressive, and I thought it was a real solid performance from Digne. Kamara, absolutely brilliant. Konsa, great when he was on. And then Bogard, like I say, did fine. McGinn, everywhere. It was like a bulldog, wasn't he? He was absolutely ratting everywhere, and I thought he was back to his best. He was Super John McGinn, as Emery would say. That's what the McGinn he wants from him. But he was brilliant, and a real captain's performance, a real leader on the pitch. Tielemans was great. Bailey was really good. Again, you can see him doing defensive work there. Rodgers, so much license, just driving and being expressive. Ramsey, very good on that left-hand side. Marlon, I thought his work was so good, and so happy that he got his assist as well. And then we can see Bogard. We've got Asensio, moving around the pitch, that license to move around. Marcus Rashford, like I've touched on, and then we've got Maatsen. So if we have a look at some of the underlying numbers, which are really pleasing from a Villa point of view, we have got here now accurate passes for Rodgers, 91%. A creative player with 91%. He won 6 of his 12 duels, and he won 1 of his 1 aerials. 74% accuracy on his passes for Martinez. Bailey, 80%, 4 of his 11 duels were won. Ramsey, 96% passing accuracy, 8 of 13 duels were won. Kamara, 5 of 6 duels, 92% passing accuracy. McGinn, 84% passing accuracy, 6 of his 10 duels were won. Tielemans, 7 of 14 duels. Rashford, 6 of 4 duels, 1 of 1 aerials, 93% passing accuracy. We've got Bogard, 97% passing accuracy, 1 of 4 duels were won, which probably needs to improve. We've got Digne, 79%, 2 of 8. Again, his duels were low, but I thought he was brilliant. And then Maatsen, 100% passing accuracy, 1 of 1 of his duels were won. If we have a little look at the Spurs passing network, or average position, sorry. So the average positions from a Spurs point of view, I think their midfield got absolutely run through. That they couldn't cope with us. And one thing that I think is a big problem with Spurs is that Son press. I think it's absolutely pointless. You know, when he just goes from like left to right and he just runs across the whole of the pitch, time and time again, he does that press. And I'm just like, what is the point of it? I just really don't understand that Son press. And, you know, me and Ryan were talking when we were walking back to the car, and we were talking about the full cycle that Son's done at Spurs. When he was at Spurs flying and Engels let it go under his foot and he was tearing down on the Villa goal. And then now look at the two clubs. It's absolutely remarkable to see the transformation of Villa and then the downfall of Spurs and Son's career at Spurs. It's absolutely mental. And, you know, Big Ange moaning about his, you know, tiredness of his players and excuses and, do me a favour. Do me a favour. Right, so here we can see the momentum bar from the game, and Villa, you know, started it really well. Spurs actually came out in the second half and showed a little bit, to be fair, but Villa were able to recover and get back into our stride and look really good. They've got Rodgers as man of the match. We've got 52% possession, 16 shots. They had 11. We had 4 big chances. They had 3. We had 4 corners. They made 17 fouls. We made 442 passes, 17 tackles for Villa. There are some really good underlying numbers here as well. So we've got final third passes, 79%, long balls, 49, no accuracy on crosses. We have got duels, 53% won, 52% of our ground duels. So this one's a big one. 75% of our aerial duels were won, compared to 25% of Spurs. 58% dribbles, 88% of our tackles were won. We had 8 interceptions, 45 recoveries, clearances 18. So it was just a really good, solid, exciting, refreshing performance from Aston Villa. And I'm just buzzing that we're into the next round. It's going to be exciting to see who we get. No doubt we're probably going to be one of the hot balls and we'll get drawn against another Premier League team, but so be it. We take on anyone at Villa Park, and I'm just really excited to see where we go, where we get to now, and back on the training ground now. Again, sort of like no midweek games, so we've got a full week to prepare for Ipswich, which should be really good. Hopefully, Watkins is back. Mings has been pictured in training, so he's not too far away. The Sassy will come straight in for Conser as well. So we've got that little bit of depth there, which is what we need. So, yeah, all in all, a very, very good performance. Asensio, Rashford, current Villa players, smash the likes. Up the Villa.